Hey VC, it's Danny. I've accumulated more than I thought I had over the last couple months or so, and I've got a big pile here that I haven't showed you guys. So I might split this into two videos. We'll kind of see how it goes, and yeah, I have a lot, so let me run through it. First up, in a weird way, kind of a total impulse grab, but now I'm happy I got it. Also, kind of a Grails up front type of thing, or Rings up front. This is the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, the complete recordings vinyl box set. Um, Comes in this big red box, and it's like a 6 record set. Comes with a booklet. The booklet has actually incredibly detailed liner notes. It's a really great package. These had originally come out on CD, and I'm just trying to get one out here. Originally, it come out on CD. The CDs are long out of print and have started to become expensive. So although I like CDs, when it comes down to an expensive CD or an expensive record, of course I'd still pick a record. These are pressed on red vinyl. Unfortunately, there was some damage on the box. I ordered this one off Amazon as soon as I could pre-order it, and then they were gone by the time it actually came out. So there's no getting a replacement, but Amazon was actually cool about knocking a little bit of money off the price, which is very appreciated. It's just some corner splits. It's not a big deal. Yeah, but happy to get that. When I first ordered it, I was like, God, I don't know if this was a stupid choice. I really don't need this thing. But then it arrived, and I listened to it. And I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, so I was happy to have it. Next up is whatever happened to... What the heck's the actual name of this thing? Jugular. This is Harper. Roy Harper and Jimmy Page. This is actually a sealed copy, which was like $12, so I snagged it. I had a copy of this back on the East Coast, which I remember enjoying, but not getting too much time with. So when I saw this, you just don't see Roy Harper stuff, so especially sealed. And it doesn't appear to be bowed or warped or anything. Still haven't had much time to spend with this, but I was happy to grab it. Alright, let's see. There you go. Randy Newman creates something new under the sun. An early Randy Newman record. It says Davey the Fat Boy. I think it's going to rain today. Love story. Yeah, early Randy Newman is just kind of, in my opinion anyway, super underrated. Great songwriter, really funny. For me, when I listen to these early Randy Newman records, it's not hard to see why he's become such a huge figure. And maybe to explain that, I'm young enough that my introduction to Randy Newman would have been that Toy Story song. So discovering that it's a much deeper well than that has been satisfying. Cheers, VZ. I showed this in one of my live streams. This is how far back this pile really goes. But at the time, I think that copy was warped. This is the Jim Campolongo Trio, live at the Rockwood Music Hall in New York. Jim Campolongo, if you're not familiar, is a Telecaster guitar player, kind of in the vein of Roy Buchanan. He plays jazz. He's played with everybody. He played with Norah Jones. Played with tons and tons of people. He plays a lot of harmonics. Does a lot of bending behind the nut. Excuse me. And he just gets sounds out of his guitar, and he's that you don't normally hear that really bring the instrument to life. He's a phenomenal player. The playing on this record is great. If you're familiar with his stuff and you've maybe heard some of the stuff he did with Honeyfingers and maybe it's too polite for you, they're really getting out there with this record. It's I don't want to say it's aggressive, but I'm Helen Keller and You're a Waffle Iron is one of the names of the songs. They're getting weird. It's good. It's good stuff. It's very good stuff. All right. There's another little quick grab. The Best of William Bell on Stax. I just don't see William Bell records. You see them. I see them online going for large amounts of money. But I would love to own some of his original proper albums, but this was the best I could get for now. Super happy to have it. It's a little cracklier than I'd like, but when it comes to classic soul and Stax, you just any way you can get it. The music is really good enough that it makes up for it. All right. Here's another one. Bad Brains, Eye Against Eye on SST. Bad Brains is another one. They were everywhere. Everybody I know listened to them. And so that kind of let me off the hook, I guess, and doing my homework or really getting to know them. So I was happy to pick this album up. It's, I think, their third, maybe their fourth record from '86. And I was surprised at the... I don't know, some of the almost metalish sounds in this album, but I really enjoyed them. There are a lot. There's a lot. I was caught off guard by this record, and yeah, there was a lot of the playing and the sounds on this album that I would have otherwise associated with metal. That screaming guitars and squeals and stuff that I wouldn't have asked for. I might not even have picked up the record if that's how I thought it sounded, but I was really, really getting into it, and I was glad that I picked it up. Yeah, and it's Bad Brains. Happy to get to know more of the catalog at the very least. That was very affordable. All right, this is, I think, a bootleg. This is the Waterboys. Unleashing the Tethered Ones. I don't know if it's unofficial or what. It's a white label with scratched out dead wax, and it's live tracks. It's a live concert from Edinburgh in April of '87, and the sound is pretty good. And I was just happy to get it. There's a fantastic 7 CD box set for Fisherman's Blues. The Fisherman's Box, I think, and it's just they recorded that album live in the studio, and it's just every take, everything that they cut, which is considerable, 7 CDs worth, and it's all fantastic. So I figured it would be a safe bet trying to grab something live from them, and the sound quality is, maybe not an official release. I'm still super happy to get it. Speaking of things I was happy to get, this is Ravi Shankar live at the Newport Folk Festival. Monterey Pop, not Newport Folk. So I had been watching the Pennebaker Monterey Pop documentary, and just kind of getting into generally that time period. I was listening to Hendrix a bit when I picked this up, and Ravi Shankar's performance with A La Rocca on tabla, it's mesmerizing and incredible. If you haven't seen the Monterey Pop documentary, you got to see it. It's just one of the great concert films of all time. And yeah, so this is just a record of that performance, which I was thrilled to get. For me, that this performance in that documentary is one of those. It transcends your tastes. Even it doesn't really matter what you like. If you appreciate music, you would appreciate what's going on here. Really, musicianship of the highest order. All right. So here I've got Brian Eno, Music for Films 3. I know I've seen a bunch of people highlight the original Music for Films, which I would love to get my hands on, but I just never see copies. When I saw this, and especially then seeing Daniel Lanois was also on this, I really like a lot of the production work that he did with Dylan, and in the '90s. The deeper I listen, the more I realize I've got a real soft spot for that, whatever high production meant in the '90s. The comeback albums of all the classic artists. I really love that sound. I haven't gotten to spend too much time with this. Yeah, but it's Eno. It's produced by Eno anyway. So, very happy to get it. As I was with this one, which I had seen highlighted by Chad, Horror Biz. Check out Chad if you're not. Is a promo copy of the Repo Man soundtrack, and when Chad highlighted it and talked about how great of a comp it was, I remember having passed it up and feeling a good amount of regret that I knew I let it slip through my fingers. But not too long after that, it showed up again. This promo copy. So, it's Circle Jerks, The Plugs, Suicidal Tendencies, Black Flag, Iggy Pop. Great stuff on here. All right. This is Enlightenment by Van Morrison, 1990. This... I'm still having a real tough time finding a copy of Avalon Sunset, but this 90s era Van Morrison is tough to find, full stop. And then depending on how late into the 90s you get, some of it gets very, very pricey and expensive. So I saw this on the cheap. I have a feeling that that's going to stop happening. I think the more and more these copies start popping up, they're going to get closer and closer to $20 and then beyond. If you're a Van Morrison fan, there's still a lot of great stuff here. If you're a casual Van Morrison fan, it's maybe not essential, but I'm always happy to get some more. This was a really great grab. This is Mississippi Fred McDowell, 1904 to 1972. Which is, I guess, a bit of a misleading title because it doesn't cover that span of time. This is out on Just Sunshine Records. Show you the label there. And they put out Karen Dalton. I can't think of the name of the album for some reason. I'm totally blanking. They put out Karen Dalton's second record. And so these are leftover sessions from the I Do Not Play No Rock and Roll album, which is phenomenal, incredible Fred McDowell record. And so this record is just full of great extra tracks. And it's a great companion piece. Happy to have something else on the label. Since it's a label that doesn't show up too much. Show you the there it is, Just Sunshine. Really, really great stuff. Mississippi Fred McDowell. I mean, if you love the blues, you already know. All right. Here's another one, King Size. All the day and all the night. Tired of waiting. It's on reprise. It's an Orange label reprise. But Kinks have always been hard to find. This was the easier stuff to find for forever, and I guess in some ways still is. But this is a nice minty copy, clean, sharp edges. Um, and it was a missing piece in my Kinks collection, which has been the slowest of all certainly of all the British invasion bands to fill in. The Kinks have been the hardest, so always thrilled to get some Kinks. Sounds good, which is another a bonus. It's as you'd like it to be. So here is an album I pre-ordered months and months ago. This is Laura Vere's new album, The Lookout. Laura Veres is a Portland singer-songwriter. Her husband is Tucker Martine, who's produced most of the Decemberists albums. He's worked with My Morning Jacket. He's a big indie producer. And she's kind of, an indie songwriter, if that makes sense. She's kind of connected to a lot of other people in the scene, but hasn't quite broken herself. But she's a phenomenal singer, songwriter. Very mellow stuff, but definitely folk emphasized. And I think this record really is about motherhood and family. But I also think it's one of her strongest records in her whole catalog. She really stretches out with her voice in ways that she hasn't really before. You're not going to ever find her like crazy belting it out. It's more, she's a very melodical guitar player and singer and songwriter. But Everybody Needs You is the single. I would check that out. It's fairly representational of the album, and if it's not for you, it's not for you. But if you like that song, Everybody Needs You by Laura Veres, there's a lot of great stuff on this record. It's signed because I pre-ordered it early enough, which is always fun. And this is probably my favorite thing in this pile here. This is the new Alistair Roberts, which I can't remember if I showed or not. Regardless, this is called What News. Alistair Roberts, Amble Skews, and David McGuinness. There are the three of them back there. So, Alistair Roberts is one of my favorite folk singers, Scottish folk singer. David McGuinness is a Scottish piano player and composer, music historian. Amble Skews is an electronic ambient artist from Scotland, and so the three of them got together to make this album full of traditional folk songs. There's a huge amount of Scots English dialect on here, beautiful songs. The Fair Flower of Northumberland is a real standout, as is the Dunbrune Bride. But the entire album, front to back, is gorgeous. Alistair doesn't play guitar on this. He's just singing. So he's mainly being supported by David McGuinness. Beautiful piano playing. He plays, and I think on here he plays a dulcitone, a reed organ. There might be some harpsichord on here. Amble Skews is then kind of layering in textures of ambient music underneath, and it's really. It's not a combination I would have expected or anticipated, I guess. But it's gorgeous. It's really beautiful stuff. I highly recommend this. It's called What News. Excuse me. There's a thread in Alistair's work of music that is both timeless and ancient. It's just the inner sleeve, and somehow incredibly modern. And this album really typifies that for me, especially with Amble Skews' textural ambient work. It just, these are ancient songs, and they still sound fresh and interesting and immediate, at least to me. Yeah. And if you check this out and you like what you're hearing, the David McGinnis has a collective called everything is escaping me this morning. The Caledonia Collective. Well, I was going to recommend something, but I can't even remember the name. Check out David McGinnis. He's a fantastic musician, and he brings together other musicians to make really, really incredible work. I'm going to stop it there and just start another one, just so that I'm not uploading gigantic videos. But thanks for checking it out, and I'll see you in the next one literally now.